On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we kick off a new season with leftover nachos at Juanita's.
Featuring Death's Queso.
The Other White Meat Suit.
And Delicious Baby. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we are back with season 11, episode 1. Out of the darkness into the fire.
Out of the dark.
So, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I think everything is I don't know. Everything is a dumpster fire, but I'm doing okay and trying to hang in there. Been going to just trying to keep happy events in my life too. So last Saturday I went to a herbalism for mental health class at Deja Vu Esoterica, which is one of San Antonio's local witch shops, and locally owned and sourced. And she really does. She gets a lot of her stuff from a lot of the local makers and etc. And this class was taught by the medicinal Melange, she's also she's an Elizabeth Martin. And I mean, it was a fun class. We got to learn about different plants that grow in our area that we could then harvest and do other stuff with. And then we actually got to use her tinctures to make our own little herbalism things. And additionally to being an herbal lady, she also is a medical astrologer, which I think is a fascinating thing. And so she has this podcast called The Medicinal Melange. And on that, she does what types of exercise and eating you should do by your sun sign. And it's really weird because, happy, loving skeptic that I am, astrology isn't real because it's something that can't be proven, right? But then if you go and listen to the Cancer episode, I'm yeah, that's definitely sounds like the type of exercise I like to do. Those are the foods I like to eat, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm having her do my chart. And then I was but I want to set aside half of this time for you just to talk to me about your methodology and what books you use and how you come to this stuff, right? Because that's really what I think, yes, it's fun to look at things and go, oh, yes, I should. Because it says, for her, when she was talking about Cancer, that the exercise is because I'm a water sign, that I should things that are, swimming, which I do. I enjoy swimming. Or things that are less structural, like dance or yoga or, things that
all the fluid movements,
the circus things that I'm bruised and and I really need challenges and stuff like that. And she'll be Aries really needs to just go out there, pound their workout. Right. And so
facts.
Yeah. So it's just, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't want it to be long. I want to go get in there and I want to go hit a workout hard and I want to be fucking done.
Yeah. So, I mean, I encourage you to go listen to it just to see, if it, clicks. And it just, I think it's fascinating. Again, I am a skeptic. And the reason why I think that the reason I say this is from a scientific method. There has never been a repeatable study that has shown that the astrology is true, right? I could take 100 people born, if we were all born in the same place at the same time, we're not exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
So, and also most of it's just made up, right? But it's literally because there wasn't stuff there, right? So people just made things up, which is why I'm you tell me historical sources and stuff. And I'm not calling her out. I just want to know because she seemed a very no bullshitty. She has a phrase that's woo woo, not delulu, which I just think is adorable.
That is cute.
Yeah. So I just it's always fun to meet a new local personality, and then also at that at that workshop, there was a person who is going to be teaching my broomstick workshop in a couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about, which will be learning how to make brooms, which are just a fun, crafty thing. So yeah. And then I learned by shocking surprise that the Addams Family is a musical.
Yes.
And that it exists and that it's coming to San Antonio. So I am going to see the Addams Family musical tomorrow night. And I hope it's just delightful and awful at the same time. My expectations are very low, but in a good way.
Yeah. Entertaining low.
I just want to see some weird ookie kooky stuff. So I'm really excited about like that mental escape that's happening tomorrow.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, even though I have to take a Zoom call in the car, like on the way.
Yeah, well, sometimes we have to do that.
Yeah, no. What about you? What have you been up to?
Nothing. I've been watching a dog poop a lot. Because I had a sick dog, not because I won't enjoy that. Because
it's not her
pooping.
fetish.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a hobby or a fetish. It was that a dog was unwell and he was pooping a lot. So yeah. That's been my excitement. Sick husband and sick dog. Fun. Woo.
Yay.
But yeah, no, I've just been working a lot and getting ready to go on a family trip to Branson, Missouri. So I can't wait to fill everybody in on good old Branson.
I just hope it's like sleazy and like full of sex workers and people on heroin.
I think we're going to be like hanging out at a nice lake house. So I don't think that's where we're going to be like visiting in Branson, but you never know.
Well, for those of you who don't know the legends of Branson, it's that, it's basically a very shiny, happy place and super sappy, clean family, family fun. So I really hope it's the opposite.
Thanks. Yeah. No, I mean, we get a lake day in, it'll be fine.
The lake day will be great.
So, yeah, that's about it in my little world here. Getting ready for, I have a younger sibling that has a milestone birthday this year, so we are in preparation for that, which will be fun too.
Oh, that should be fun.
Yeah, so she can stop making fun of me. Ha. Anyways, but yeah, that's what I got.
Cool. Well, let's start talking about this episode. And Out of the Darkness into the Fire is a very long title and is the name of a song by the Canadian hard rock and heavy metal band Moxie, and could also be referred to the phrase out of the frying pan into the fire, which is used to denote going from a bad situation to a worse one. That's according to the Supernatural Wiki. And this episode first aired October 7th, 2015. It was directed by the illustrious Robert Singer, and was written by, as we learned last episode in season 10, the first episode of the season will be written by Jeremy Carver, because he's been writing the last and the first. Things we learned because didn't pay attention, and now we did. So
now we know.
And also in Supernatural tradition, there is a new title card this season, but this is the first time the number 11, like the number actually shows on it. Oh, so yeah. 11 flashed on the screen briefly. You know what? Was there a road so far? Did Netflix cut that shit off again? Yes. Motherfucker. Oh man, like I have to go back and watch that. We're gonna have to drop it, like find it on YouTube and drop it, like, and then everybody has to go watch it together. Damn it! Those are the I hate the fact that Netflix took that out, because it's really good and it makes you feel emotional and ready for the start of the season. So after you listen to this podcast, go back and go watch the opening to that and yell at Netflix that that's stupid.
I agree.
I don't know what rights thing it's somewhere in a contract. I know it's because it's a fucking contract. Fix it. Bring that back. Thank you. Maybe somebody asked that at a fucking panel.
Hey, there you go.
That's a good panel question. Not what kind of fucking sandwich are you? If you could only eat one ice cream flavor for the rest of your life, what ice cream would you eat? Okay, sorry. We'll stop making fun of I love you, fans. Okay, y'all have wonderful Q&A questions for everybody. They're all full of love, and they're all very good. Yes. All right.
So we open.
Yes.
With Dean Winchester standing inside the swirling black cloud of the darkness.
And he's very confused.
Yeah, and there's a chick
As
there.
we all are.
Yes. And this chick's there, and she got her back to him, and she turns and looks at him. And then we cut to the inside of Baby, where it's now daylight, and Sam's there, and the car's dirty, the horn's going off, Sam's alone, and he gets out, pulls the horn wire, and has a flashback to the car getting overtaken by the darkness cloud.
Yeah. And then he starts yelling for Dean.
Yeah.
And Dean's in a bunch of pretty flowers. I saw some yarrow, and there's some kind of thistle in there. I was probably like poking him in the butt.
Probably.
And
yeah, I'm sure that's very itchy. He's going to have a rash.
He's going to have the reaction like I did after I did yard work. So the first thing, though, he asked when he sees Sam is like, where's Baby?
Yeah.
Where's the car?
He's a full fucking mile away. Which also, Sam found him really fast for being a mile away, not knowing which direction to go. But anyway.
Yeah, and that calling, Dean! Like, like the sonar, like, bounced off. And Dean got twisted.
Yeah, and Dean, like, doesn't seem to remember the darkness at all, but then he does, and he has a flashback.
Well, yeah, Sam does say, the darkness. There's so many, like, good lines in here. The darkness hit, which is the title of my next album. The darkness hit.
Yes.
So we get a lot of flashbacks to explain things too.
Yeah. She saved me. What?
He was saved by the darkness. And then we go back to Juanita's. Yes, it was not Juan's. It was Juanita's restaurant. I want to know if the queso is still there.
I know, right? Like, where are death snacks?
Because I don't think he finished them.
That was a lot of snacks.
He died before he got through all those taquitos.
For sure.
Yep.
So Dean doesn't remember how he got out of the car. And she says that the darkness thanked him for setting her free. And there was just like this really focused energy. Okay.
And Sam tries to argue that he's the one who set her free, which frankly is true. But Dean's just like, maybe it's because of the mark.
Yeah. So apparently they were like, but she's been blocked away since the beginning of time. And so what does she know about like today? I mean, does she even know? Either way, we got to put her back no matter what it takes.
And she's been locked up so long that she may not even know what a cheeseburger is, which is sad.
It is sad.
This show makes me so hungry. All right, so then we go to a farmer's wooden shed. Is that what?
I don't know. Is it like a weird little like shed cabin?
An outcap.
I don't know what the fuck it is. A hutch? Is it a hutch?
A hillbilly built an out thing to put away his shit. So he's in a shed. He's in a wooden shed, and it's Cass. Sorry, that's who's in there. And
Cass is in a shed.
Cass is in a shed, and he still has his bloody eyes, and now he is having flashbacks.
Yeah, because
everyone's just having flashbacks this episode. Don't take the brown acid.
Very flashbacky episode. Mm-hmm. So he is still under this dog spell thingy, the attack dog spell that Rowena put him under. And he is flashing back to when he attacks Crowley and stabs him in the back.
Rather unclimatically. It's just like, I'm just like, what? There's and
very
like,
stabby. It's a weird stabby.
It's a weird stabby. And Crowley just, I guess because he has the immovable spell, he just kind of goes, thunk,
and lays down and gets stabbed.
Lays down. And then like he just, put it on the side of the mouth. It's just like, I'm going to go away. Yeah.
So he gets his little red cock smokes out of his mouth and sneaks away down the drain. But Castiel has a farmer and his two young boys looking for him because apparently he's like killed a dog or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like he hurt their fucking dog. So Cass, I mean, you may have whatever, this is coming. So, but then one of them goes in the shed and Cass is like, don't make me hurt you. I can't help myself.
Mm-hmm. And he tells him to run. And the kid doesn't because bold. And so Cass grabs a shotgun, makes it fire at the ceiling and fucking runs. Yep. And he gets chased by everybody with them all shooting at him.
No, he doesn't get chased far. Like, they go like a couple of steps and they start shooting at him. And then they're just like, I think like, I don't want to run, which I understand. I mean, I'd just be like, yeah, he's gone.
Yep.
I was like, I don't really want to deal with the bloody red eye guy. Like, I don't know, like if he goes I'll call somebody and that could be their problem, like, but he's off my property now.
Right? That's not my problem then? Is that what we go with? Oof. So Sam, Dean, and Baby have gotten out of the hole made by the darkness coming out of the ground that Baby was stuck in. And
they had to be a pain in the ass. They all got muddy. It was probably hot though. They probably like take off their shirts and then they were all like covered in mud. It was a fleet. Anyways. So then they go to a roadblock.
Yeah. There's some kind of construction fiasco going on. And there is a sheriff's vehicle with the radio going off. The lights are going. Shotgun shells are all over the road. And a bunch of dead construction workers laying around. And they find a family in a car. They're all dead. And one of the construction dudes pops out from behind a vehicle and he's got some creepy ass black veins up his neck and face.
Yeah, like sick tribal vein tattoos.
It is not good. It's not a good look.
Like branding.
Yeah, don't do it.
Sick tribal veiny brands.
But in black. Ugh, so bad. And they're about to shoot him because he won't stop coming at them. And then a deputy, really, there's not to judge, but she's a really pretty chick deputy, pops up and shoots this motherfucker in the back.
Yeah. So. And then she wants the feds to show her some skin.
And Dean's like, Magic Mike? And she's like, no. And she's so the throats. So they have to show their necks to prove that they don't have the creepy black veins too. These
ain't rednecks. And so, but she's just like, okay. And then also show me your abs. That's what I would have done. Like, okay, throats are clear. Like, so what about like that little like jungle trail area?
Well, we don't really know where the veins start.
I don't know. We don't know. We need to see everything. Please take it all off. Yes, Magic Mike style.
But she's super injured because apparently when she was taking cover, she fell on a piece of rebar and so her name,
which I feel like is something I would do too. Like she's being all badass, but yet you fall, like you trip on something and that's how you injure yourself.
Right.
Like she escapes from, she escapes from them,
but yeah, she escapes from whatever the fuck these like black vein monsters are, but then falls on a piece of rebar. Guys. Yeah. So she was responding to a 911 call for a family in distress. And she found what she describes as hostiles attacking this family. By the way, she's only been a deputy for 3 weeks.
Welcome to getting thrown into the fire.
No shit.
So Dean very kindly crisis manages her.
Yeah, he actually really does. I'm impressed. This is a kind side of Dean that we haven't gotten to see in a while because of the mark. So
it's probably because she's a pretty girl.
Well, that too. But he kind of like, okay, stop. You don't have to use please speak. First of all, also, by the way, you were a badass by killing all these guys. Don't be upset about it. They're not human, obviously. So pull it together.
Hey, Sam takes like one look at them, right? And he's like, looks at their veiny necks and he goes, they aren't human. But, I mean, they're just dead they're humans.
That contradicts what he says later in the show.
I know, but they're just, like, looking at them. Like, there's no sign of, like, there's no monsterization of what you're looking at on that corpse. That corpse is a human corpse with dark black veins.
Yeah.
Which...
could be poisoning.
Could be a lot of things, but my first instinct would not be not human.
Yeah, exactly. There's something wrong with this human, but that doesn't make them not human.
So they all decide we're going to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. And immediately when they pull up to the hospital, things are not right because we have an EMT on the ground, a toppled and abandoned wheelchair, which is wildly convenient.
So convenient for Sam.
Which they put her in immediately. But Dean is going to go check out Trunk.
Team Trunk!
Yay, Trunk.
We had a pretty deep look at a Trunk in this one.
It is a long look at Trunk. Because he is ammoing up.
He wants a smorgasbord.
All the things. All the guns, all the ammos. And so they start going inside and the hospital. But they're wondering if this was caused by the darkness. And what the darkness is doing was the smoke causing some kind of a mutation or what the fuck. But either way, the lobby is full of dead people.
Yeah, and Dean wants to remind us, just in case we forgot, that he killed Death a couple of hours ago. So just so we don't forget that happened last season.
Well, yeah, don't forget about that. But so they're gonna push Deputy Jenna Nickerson. Jesus. Dean's gonna take her to go fix her rebar wound, and Sam's gonna go look around because this seems like a great idea to break up right now.
Yep, sure, fine. You can cover some ground.
But Sam finds a hallway with a lot of bodies in it, and then we see another guy in a construction vest with the black veins in his neck trying to break into a janitor's closet, and he gets distracted by Sam, and then a sound of a crying baby at the closet pulls him back to it. Delicious baby.
So he gets distracted by the delicious baby, and he starts going and hitting the closet room.
Is it wildly convenient that these whatever is going on with these ill or the bad guys, whatever they are, that they're all wearing construction vests? So
you can pick them out pretty easily.
Highly visible.
Later that does switch. But for first, like, it does make your zombie killing game a little easier, right?
Yeah.
So we go back to the ER room where they couldn't find any anesthetic in the hospital. So Dean just is gonna, sew her up without any.
Sure. Why not?
Take all the drugs, man. The drugs are all there. There's nobody there.
I know, but is that really when you want to be high? Or is it definitely when you want to be high? I don't know.
One, yes. Two, you can at least find some fucking lidocaine.
Yes, that is absolutely true. I'm like, you really want to be high and you really don't all at once here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would have to be the right cocktail. I think I would go into that pharmacy and then I'd be sitting there probably with a book being like, nope. Oh, okay. Like,
here we go.
Intolerance for pain, like maybe some adrenaline going. Like,
there we go.
I think, those things soldiers are probably doing anyhow. So, all right. So, then while we're doing this, we start getting into some of the meat and crux of this episode of this conversation between the two of them.
Yeah, because she's upset because she's small town sheriff department, knew these guys or knew their families that she just had to fucking kill. And that's kind of sinking in. And Dean's like, no. These were monsters and threats. Anyone would have panicked in that situation. You didn't panic. You did what you had to do. So don't be beating yourself up here, basically.
Yeah, but she's really bummed because this job is supposed to be about saving people.
Ooh.
And we're like, oh, Dean, I think that sounds like something I've heard before.
I've heard
something like with those words.
Saving people?
Yeah.
Weird.
And so that means it's time for another flashback. And this time is going to start with Dean lecturing the darkness. Mm-hmm. Because Dean just likes to lecture giant, omnipotent, beings from that he doesn't know, then just start lecturing them.
Yeah. And she's like, wait, no, I like it here with you, though. It's peaceful. I didn't think, I didn't think I didn't think anyone would have remembered me. And he's like, well, what about Death? And she's like, I didn't know Death, and Death doesn't know me.
Is that a riddle?
I don't know, maybe. And then, shouldn't I kill you?
Yeah, and it's kind of like a weird, almost romance book, dialogue.
It's like a love-hate weirdness for real,
but really exaggerated, right? In a way that it just makes me uncomfortable. And so we go from that back to the hospital where Sam is still hiding.
Mm-hmm. But this dude, the construction dude with the veiny neck, who's been beating on this door, suddenly he just collapses dead on his own.
So they just run out of the Energizer battery, the veins just pop them out, whatever, and they're done. So Sam goes to this closet and is like, "Man, shark," but actually it was just like, "Hello, are you dead?"
Here's my FBI ID.
Here's my fake badge. You can probably, once you look at closely, you can tell I made it at Kinko's. But I'm going to put it under the door.
I didn't see what name it was on it, but I was for sure and be like, this motherfucker. Somebody's going to read that and be like, you aren't fucking Ozzy Osbourne or whatever the fuck name's on it. I was waiting.
Especially this guy, because he seems of their age. It would be like, what the fuck? You're not Jack White. So I don't know what it said. That's what I'm going to say.
I know, I didn't see it. But
and it's a guy, and he comes out with a newborn. Yeah, little older than newborn, but
television newborn.
Television newborn. We're not afraid our head's going to fall off her neck, which I just always freaks me out about the tiny babies.
Yeah. And he says, help us. And you're like, oh no. We cut to a woman in a business suit getting out of her small SUV and unloading groceries.
I also what should I think about this just from the overall perspective and why my camera just went. Sorry guys, this is probably not on video. Someday maybe, but yeah, I just went right. My camera just zoomed in on my boobs for some reason.
It did. It wanted to. This scene set up your camera. It's ready for some action.
It is ready.
Yeah. So it's so ridiculous. So Crowley's smoke comes out of the sewer and goes into this woman. Her name is Marnie. We find out, but anyways, she snaps. Nothing happens. So Crowley doesn't have his magic right now, and grabs a tire iron because they're going to go old school, and goes into the house just carrying a tire iron. And a husband calls to her and leads her into this this room is kind of cool. It's like the 60s, 70s vibe. And I don't know why. It's not really, it's just really, it's very stylized. And these people do not look like they would do that intentionally. So it's really weird.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're supposed to be you're just supposed to look at them and go, swinger.
Yeah.
And that's what that vibe does.
Apparently they were not until she asked for this for her birthday, and her husband has arranged for them to have
to fuck their best friends. Yes. For her birthday, they are going to have they're going to have a wife swap. Sure. And let's go light this candle. And Crowley, as this real estate meat suit, is just delighted because it is hilarious. It's just what he has stumbled into.
Yeah. So what are the odds? There we go. Back at the hospital, we have this new dad, Mike is his name, holding this baby, and he is talking about the mother's labor and how she bled out, and it's very sad.
And he is and you think they know how to stop women from hemorrhaging out while they give birth, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, you think they would. And then I screamed into the void. And then he said that he had to go collect himself.
And when he was outside, a truckload of these road crew motherfuckers with the black veins in their necks showed up.
I find it really interesting that they all drive trucks. They're all still driving their trucks. They're I want to eat you, but I also know how to drive.
Yeah. It's a weird combo.
It is. It's. I don't know if I've had because they're almost. They are 28 days
zombies
later.
Driving. Oh no, ma'am! Don't.
It never happens, right?
No. Oh, I hope not.
There you go. All right, so there's your new terrifying idea, Mr. The next Romero. Pick that one out. Oh. All right, so he basically he fought his way through them because he had to get to his baby,
and then he got the baby and they hid, and that's it. So. But at this point in the conversation, Sam notices there's something showing up on Mike's neck. Oh no, he's infected by whatever the fuck this is.
Did they possibly cut, bleed, or spit on you?
And he's like, yeah, I know. I feel it inside. It's gross. And it's been a few hours already. So it's very sad.
Yeah. It's inside. Something is happening. It's inside me.
And that means this is transmittable.
Yeah, so it's transmittable, but I mean, so we don't we're kind of learning some things about it, right? It's been 3 or 4 hours since he was attacked, and he hasn't gone all yet. Yeah. And but we don't know how long he has left. But it's kind of an interesting, from a science, he's an interesting case study. So we got so we have this new piece of data, and we're gonna go back to a roadblock.
Yeah, but it's a different one. This is the sheriff's at the intersection looking for Castiel in the woods with the farmers. And he decides to kneel and pray and ask his brothers and sisters, knowing he shouldn't ask, but he wants, he'll confess his transgressions and will accept his punishment, just wants to be saved.
Flog me, save me from doing worse. Punish me. And then cops with flashlights are walking towards him.
Mm-hmm. But right then we cut because Sam, Dean, and Jenna have to decide what to do about Mike and the baby. And Sam's like, well, why don't we just wait till he dies? Because whenever these people, once they've been infected, they die on their own.
And he calls them the Rabid, and I think this is a shitty name. I mean, at least like Veiny Bro. Veiny Bro is better than Rabid, right?
Veiny Bro.
Veiny Bro. Well, like you called the other shit Jefferson Starfish. Like, what the fuck? So, all right. So,
yeah.
But then, like, we started seeing the fucking Dean, man. What the fuck, Dean? He's like, I can't believe what I'm hearing. And Jenna, the deputy, is like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. We could lock them up and then find a cure.
Right. And Mike,
that sounds reasonable.
But Mike's like, no, fuck all this shit. I just want to make a deal. Here's the deal. I am going to go hide and lay low as long as you save my baby. Save the baby. That's all I care about. Save the baby. Not any of you motherfuckers, specifically you, Jenna. Here's my baby.
Yeah, I don't know you weird dudes. And you seem a little anxious to kill a lot of stuff. So I'm going to give this baby to the person I've known for a while.
Yeah, because their families knew each other and stuff. So
yeah, it's a small town. That, yeah.
He gives her the baby and he fucking leaves. They agree to do this. So Dean's like, all right, well, I guess we need to gear up and handle shit. And Sam's like, well, hold on. Also, by the way, there's just a truck that just pulled up with more of these guys in it.
They probably smelled that sweet, delicious baby.
They did. Sweet, delicious baby. But Dean's like ready just like to fucking go out blazing. He's ready for blazing.
Yeah. And now okay, again, let's talk about like your supply tactics here. Okay, so you grabbed all this shit, you grabbed the smorgasbord, but like none of those guns are loaded?
No, I know.
You have to load each. That seems like a waste of time. Like, or at least get like a speed loader or something. Like, you're taking up too much time here.
Inefficient.
It's inefficient.
So Dean's like, yeah, we broke it. We bought it. But the Deputy Jenna and Sam are just not convinced that like going out blazing is the way to go here. And in the meantime, Cass.
Well, and Dean is also like, there's no other way. And I'm like, angels, spells, like there's
a lot of ways.
We're on season 11. You've done a lot of shit. Like you figured some stuff out before.
Killing being option one is not usually where we go here.
And you don't have the mark anymore. You no longer have this excuse to be a dick. Like now you're just being a dick.
That's true.
Yep.
So Cass calls and he sounds like shit, but insists that he's fine and says that where he's at, no one can help him. But Dean needs to tell Sam that Rowena escaped with the Book of the Damned and the Codex, but he's glad to know that the mark's gone. And so Dean's like, okay, well, if you're not going to tell me that, tell me what you know about the darkness.
The darkness!
And Cass is like,
all
why? Cass is like, why? And Sam's like, because it's free. And Cass is like,
the darkness is free. And then... So and then it was just like, that's what happened when we did the thing we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised? Because I told you this was going to unleash the darkness, and then we unleashed the darkness. So why are you surprised about this?
Cass is like, no, it can't be. And he's like, yes. So, and by the way, Dean saw her. And
it's a woman.
But Cass has a noise behind him. He says goodbye and hangs up. He doesn't really share shit about the darkness or anything he knows. And we've got our deputy, Jenna, has finally figured out that Sam and Dean are not in the FBI.
Hey, wait a minute. I don't think you guys are feds.
And Cass has had 2 angels arrive for him. So his prayer worked.
They're very stern looking. I mean, they kind of, and they kind of look like hot. They kind of look like hot British thugs. So, like they're in a Guy Ritchie movie, right? Like the evil guys in a Guy Ritchie movie. All right, so we go from that to the swingers pad,
it's not
where like
unusual to be loved by one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have an orgy with your neighbors, Tom Jones, I think, is probably the soundtrack for your 70s swinger key trade. Sure. So, but unfortunately, nobody made it out of this wife swap.
They are all dead and naked, except for Marnie.
What a way to go.
I mean, hey, you know.
They had smiles on their faces.
Yeah, and 2 demons are there, and they are uncomfortable with how to speak to Crowley.
They want to call HR.
Yeah, they don't know how to handle Crowley as Marnie in
his other white meat suit.
Yes, his other white meat suit, which I was deeply amused by that comment too. I like also, and they're like, "What do we call you?" I said, "King."
King.
There we go. So they're trying to do spells on his other white meat suit so that he can get it back and like free it from being in the stuck spot. But also apparently Marnie's in menopause.
And Crowley is having a hot flash. and then one of his minions are like, "Sir, I just don't understand. Why did you wait to call for help until after the orgy?" I apologize for nothing. No regrets. And that is why Crowley is king. Yeah. So, after, we go back to the hospital, we're the much less amusing place.
Yeah, the bummer place. Dean is like, the only way out is by going through. Same plan as always. And Sam's like imploring him. That's the only word I can use because he's like not quite begging, but he's like almost there. He's like, that's how it's always been. How has that been working for us? We can't do it again. And Dean's like, kind of like, well, we can't go back. I mean, I can't go back in time and tell Cain to shove the mark up his ass or stop Sam from releasing the darkness. We've made mistakes, but now we're going to gear up and get out and save the baby. And Sam's like, hold on. The baby's not the only person here. So
yeah, also hunting things is only half of that bumper sticker, which also I love that kind of meta reference. And so yes, we're not only going to think about won't somebody think about the children? That saving people means all the people, Dean, and not just that baby and not just each other.
Mm-hmm. And Sam's like, no, we need to find a cure.
And he admits that he unleashed the darkness, but he would do it again. Do it again. Do it all again. Do it again. So I was singing Interrupters. So Sam preaches on, we have to change. And finally, Dean caves. Yes.
He does.
Yes.
He does. So Sam.
Follow Sam into the light. Change. Stop doing the same fucking things over and over again.
Yes. So Sam tells him to get Jenna and the baby to a car, safe. And when Dean's like, without a shot. Obviously. And so Sam's going to go do what he does.
Be a martyr. So he taunts the veiny bros.
Yeah. He is going to be a diversion. Which, by the way, I could not think of that word. It was like a whole ordeal. And I could not think of the word diversion. And it was really stressing me out. I think it's because I didn't sleep that night before that.
That's possible. So these veiny bros also don't seem to be in that much of a hurry.
They're not in a hurry, and they are not wearing construction vests.
Yeah, and so we know they is moved on. They're more than the construction work people. We got some business people. There's just like various different stereotypes of extras coming at Sam.
Correct. So he's just being a distraction so that Dean and the baby can get out. But he goes and locks himself in a closet, kind of like, he's like, oh, I guess this worked for Mike. I should go do this or something. I don't know. But, oh, guess what? Guess what's in the fucking closet?
A veiny chick.
Yes! Oh,
did you get jump scared?
Yes, and I also kind of knew it was going to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you saw it coming.
It was a predictable jump scare, but it was still a good one.
Yeah. So, of course it is. And there's a fight, and there is a very messy scalpel scene. Was that hard to watch?
No, but it was funny.
I thought it was a lot. And then he slits her, and they fight over the scalpel, and he slits her throat, and she bleeds into his mouth.
Yeah, that is gross. And it's just like, Sam, shut your mouth. And just put also the look on Pat Lecky's face. It's just like, it was a really good, like, I swallowed it. Oh, fuck. Mm-hmm. And so then they all like burst in and they push him against the wall, but now he smells bad. And so they leave him alone.
Because he drank the
Because
he could be infected by the blood.
He's infected because he drank her veiny blood.
It's like when people put like zombie blood on him and the zombies don't attack him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I think monsters do that all the time. So anyhow.
Well, Dean and Jenna and the baby are almost out, but they get attacked by none other than Mike. And of course, Dean's like, what the fuck? Of course this happens. Like, God damn it. And he wants the baby. He keeps saying, the baby. And they are actually able to reason with him. And it's actually a really sad, sweet moment. And he shares her name is Amara.
Yeah, the name Amara occurs in many cultures, this is according to Supernatural Wiki, and is ascribed to a variety of meanings: eternal in German, unfading in Greek, immortal in Sanskrit, and bitter in Latin. In Bahasa Indonesia, the word Amara means anger. In Ethiopian legends, it is a name for paradise. And then after that, Mike dies in a very epic death scene.
He seizes up and collapses.
He had to be really a really good.
He got to do it good.
He milked it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but so he just had the natural death, Dean, the natural monster death, or whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah. So once again, Dean, you just let them hang out for what was that, like an hour,
maybe,
and then they just die on their own, and you don't have to shoot them. So. We go back to hell.
Yes. And we now have Crowley back in his preferred, I guess, meat suit.
In his Mark Shepard meat suit.
Yes. Our preferred meat suit, I guess, at least. And there are demons there. They're like, so there's a rumor that the darkness has been released. And he's like, whatever, that's just a myth. But also, darkness and the king of hell, natural allies. It's cool. No biggie. And they're like, yeah, but people are kind of freaking out because in the cage, it sounded like a wounded animal, like Michael or Lucifer was trying to send a warning of some kind.
Or Adam Winchester, who's still in the cage.
That everybody's forgotten about? Yeah. That's a good point.
Or Adam. Well, that's Michael. So anyhow, there's like, well, that sounds bad.
Yeah, but okay. So the angels that saved Castiel are now leading him to a creepy warehouse. And they're like, yeah, after Metatron escaped, we moved the door to heaven. And he's handcuffed, and they decide to bind his bound hands from the ceiling and are obviously not taking him to heaven.
Yeah, this is not the new door to heaven. This is a place where we're going to torture you. And they look very excited about the fact that they're going to torture him. And I don't really know why they're going to. I don't know what they think they're going to get out of Castiel at this point.
But they put a bag over his head.
Fucking angels. So, yeah, they bag Castiel, and then we cut from there to baby.
Yeah, and Dean, Jenna, and the baby are at a gas station because she's got to go learn how to change a diaper, apparently. And they're, Dean wants to give her a very sweet motivational speech about how her and the baby will save each other. So, because she has no idea what she's doing. And she quotes her grandmother's Bible study to say, joy comes in the morning, and goes and walks away.
Yeah, to go take that baby probably to a disgusting bathroom.
Yes.
And a place that you don't want to put a newborn baby
Correct.
down. That baby that has not had, clearly, has no immunizations, nothing. None. This is a brand new, human being. You're taking it to a gas station bathroom.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
All right. Well, she's going to get real germ protected there. She's just going to get all that. Yeah. So Dean calls Sam, who's in a supply closet.
And Sam's like, so, by the way, good to know that y'all are outside of town and all of that, but I'm going to have to find a cure now, no matter what.
But he doesn't say why.
No, but Dean knows, I'm sure.
Does he?
I don't know. It's obvious. I think it's implied, but whatever.
I don't know. I don't know if, it is. I kind of think, I feel like Sam's not telling him. I don't know. So, which is annoying. And...
yeah. And Dean's like, well, I know you'll find it, but we got to win. I'm going to drive a few hours away to drop this chick off, this baby off with her grandma. And then I'm going to find darkness and kick her ass. Okay.
But then he flashes back to the darkness, and we get some more of our romance language.
Yeah.
If you're as bad as they say you are, why haven't you hurt me? for the same reason you'll never hurt me. And then she's like, because I have a brand. And then she's like, I also had this terrible brand at that frat party. I regret it too. And so we will always be bound.
Yeah. And we'll help each other no matter what. We're bound. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So, yeah. And Sam's looking in the mirror and we're seeing his black veins start. And Jenna is changing this baby in the bathroom, the gross bathroom. And the baby, Amara, also has the mark. Someone gave the baby a brand.
Someone branded a baby. Next thing, it was gone too far. Yeah, it's... so we don't know what this means.
Yeah.
This baby has a mark?
Yeah. Let them know.
All right, so that's how it ends.
Yeah. So we've got some interesting folks in this episode for our cast.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Yeah. This is a lot of people who are in other episodes.
Yeah, a lot of repeat people that play different things in other episodes for sure. And pretty large cast in this. I'll save a special one for last. So we've got The Darkness is played by Emily Swallow. She's been in episodes of Medium, Beauty and the Beast, Elementary, was Kim as a recurring character in The Mentalist, Lisa in Castlevania as a series, and The Armorer in The Mandalorian.
And Emily is, always on a lot of panels. I've been to quite a few of her. She's always super nice, and I think she's really funny.
And then Deputy Jenna Nickerson was played by Lacey Maley. She's been in episodes of Arrow, iZombie, and Magicians. Was also Jeannie in Falling Skies as a reoccurring character, and a reoccurring character named Jess in Chesapeake Shores. Over 50 episodes. So Mike was played by Aaron Hill. He's been in episodes of Malcolm in the Middle, Gilmore Girls, Drake and Josh, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, How I Met Your Mother, Community, CSI, Glee, Castle, NCIS, The Middle, and Baskets a few times. He was a frat guy in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. A lot of TV. Marnie / Crowley, our swinger birthday girl, was played by Karen Roebuck. Been in episodes of Dead Like Me, 4400, Fringe, Almost Human, Hell on Wheels, Lucifer, Frequency, Magicians, Travelers, Yellow Jackets, Fire Country, a few episodes of Resident Alien, and Dead Boy Detectives. She's
fuck you, Neil Gaiman.
Sad. And was a Pie Mom in Cats and Dogs, and Jenny in Smoking Aces too. Her husband was played by Kurt Evans. Episodes of X-Files, True Calling, Dead Like Me, Smallville, 4400, Painkiller Jane, Fringe, Arrows, Chesapeake Shores, Travelers, and Good Doctor. He was a reporter in Miracle, the hockey movie. He was a reporter in Watchmen, and was the recurring character of Floyd Backus in iZombie. He's also done a lot of Hallmark. Dave, the neighbor, was played by Duncan Minute. He's been in episodes of The L Word and iZombie, and his wife Deb was played by Jillian Fargy. She's been in episodes of X-Files, True Calling, iZombie, Bates Motel a handful of times, and Van Helsing a couple times. Our Ephraim, one of our angels, was played by Dylan Archambault. In a couple episodes of Supernatural. He's also been in episodes of Van Helsing and Magicians. Jonah, our other angel, is played by Albert Nicholas. We'll see him again as well. He's been in episodes of Magicians, Lucifer, X-Files, Van Helsing, iZombie, Nancy Drew a few times, and Good Doctor. He was also a waiter in 50 Shades Darker. Told you there's a lot on this one.
Yeah.
People ran a lot of stuff. It was a good cast.
Yeah.
Our two minions, I've got quick notes on, and then we'll get to our one that I know we want to talk about. Our minion 1, we'll see again. He's been a few episodes of Supernatural, was played by Lee Shorten. And then our minion 2, also in several episodes of Supernatural, was played by Jesse Reed. Hunter Boy number 1 was played by Ryan Grant. Oh,
Ryan Grantham.
Grantham. I was saying it wrong. So I'm trying to break it up. By Ryan Grantham. He's also been in episodes of iZombie, Riverdale, and was in. He's played a small role in of the 5-year-old child. Honestly, is what it was in Jumper. He was Rodney in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Ben in Goblin, and was small Anton in The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Okay, so Ryan. We didn't talk about him when we last saw him in Supernatural Land, and that was in season 4. And in season 4, he played the ever amazing Todd, before Todd. And we're going to talk about the Ryan Grantham story. This comes with all the trigger warnings, besides just being horrifically tragic. We're going to be talking about suicidal ideations, murder, mass shooting, drug use, and a lot of other bummer things. So if y'all want to check out now, honestly, I don't blame you. But this is, I think, important things to hear about and to learn about. So
this is lore. / true crime.
I don't want to call it. I don't
okay.
know.
I don't
it's
know.
just, it's sad. I mean, especially as someone who is part of the Supernatural family. So when he shot this was in 2015, and by all accounts, he was already struggling. Some other background besides what Diana just said, his parents, he's Canadian. His parents soon separated after he was born, and he was raised by his mother. He did have one sister, Lisa, who was 10 years older. They got along well enough, but the age gap created distance. His father did not maintain a relationship with Ryan as a child, which an older Ryan would then attribute to some of his abandonment issues, as well as his feelings of inadequacy. Additionally, as we could see when he played Todd, he was a smaller kid and he had a speech impediment, so he was often bullied in school. He didn't really feel like he fit in, and he described himself as socially anxious. He started shooting commercials when he was 8 and then went on to act in short and feature Canadian films. And those he received a number of nominations and awards. He won Best Male Actor at the Vancouver Short Film Festival in 2011. Then he would go on to do a bunch of TV and film. And in addition to things that Diana mentioned, he also did Diary of a Wimpy Kid and The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. His mom, Barbara, was said to be his biggest champion and was making sure that he was protected from the industry. And while he loved acting, later he would say that the audition process often exacerbated his insecurities due to the cycle of rejection. So his struggles with mental health reached levels of suicidal ideation when he was as young as in grade 6. So really, his depression started early. His negative thoughts of himself increased as he moved into teenagehood. In high school, he began socially consuming weed, and then that use increased as he got older and went to university. He tried to live on campus for a year, but then moved back home with his mom to Squamish, which is just hella beautiful, but also really isolated. He tried to quit using cannabis in 2016. This is such a 2016 shit. He went to a counselor on his college campus to try and stop what he viewed as an addiction. And that was something we just did in the especially the aughts and shit. Like, we would just go to I don't know. Sometimes you need more than what your student counselor is going to offer you. Just saying. So he went to his student counselor and took some things, and they're like, all right. So he stopped smoking and stopped using weed. And then he stopped going to his counselor visits because together they decided that he was all better. So he just stopped going to counseling. And then, so about 6 or 7 months later, he started using again. In 2018, he became interested in guns and took a firearm safety course at the Squamish Valley Rod and Gun Club, after which he started target shooting. His membership had lapsed by 2020, but by then he owned a .308, a .22, and a shotgun. In 2019, in what would be his 4th year of school at SFU, his grades started to fall and his depression deepened. And he started binge watching gore videos, like the super gross things on the dark web where people die and stuff. And his thoughts began to expand from self-harm to violently harming others. And his journals are just all really, really dark. When he was at, in court, the court pointed out that there was a performative aspect of his writing, and they blamed that on TikTok and YouTube. But I had super performative diary entries like long before like that shit was invented. I think sometimes people just do that in their journals, right? Like you kind of feel like you have an audience, but I can certainly see that being as a different side of mental health, right? Like writing things for a different perspective. So yeah. By January 2020, Ryan had entered a major depressive episode and was experiencing a sense of worthlessness and self-hatred accompanied by a guilt about how much he was going to disappoint his mother and had already disappointed her. He especially didn't want to see her hurt other people or himself. So he goes to the counseling center at SFU in 2020, and there is a sign up saying they were at full capacity, and that only with people with urgent problems should consider going for an application to go see them. So he made the decision that it would be rude of him to use up resources that others needed more than he did. And these thoughts of violently harming others were not urgent, and so he didn't go to counseling. He dropped out of school in February of 2020, and he just kind of became committed to the fact that he was just not going to make it, right? In March of 2020, he decided that his mother had to be prevented from seeing him commit these violent acts that he was fantasizing about, and the only way to do that was to end her life. So come the afternoon of March 31st, 2020, it was a pleasant enough day that Ryan's 64-year-old mother, Barbara Waite, a woman who was battling cancer, went for a bike ride. And while 21-year-old Ryan stayed home and smoked weed. Then they played a board game together. Then Ryan went upstairs and started unloading and reloading his .22. At 6:45, he went halfway down the stairs, and his mom was playing piano. It's like, y'all, this is really horrific. While his mom was playing piano, he shot her in the back of the head. When he asked why he did it that way, and at that particular moment, he said, "Allowed me to do it in a way that she never saw it coming." His mom collapsed into the piano, and it just made a horrific sound. And then he went and journaled. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry, Lisa. I hate myself. There's a lot of media of me out there, film and TV, hundreds of hours of me that can be viewed and dissected. No one will understand." Then he grabbed his GoPro and started recording the scene along with a stream of consciousness about what was going on. He would later say he could feel himself acting, like trying to make it sound sadder, but you can tell like in the video, like I haven't watched it, but they say like it's shaking and stuff, and you can truly see his distress through it. After he finished filming whatever that was, he put the rifle in his car, went and got $200 out of a credit union, went to Sky High Cannabis Dispensary, got some more weed, filled up his gas tank and bought a gas can and then filled that, went to Sea to Sky Beer and Wine store and bought some beer, went home, started drinking and smoking, started making Molotov cocktails with the bottles that he had in his garage and the gas that he bought. He then binge watched Netflix for like 8 to 10 hours while he sat on the couch 10 feet away from his dead mother. He did eventually, though, cover her with a sheet. He woke up on April 1st, ate some breakfast, packed his car with his rifle and 4 of the Molotov cocktails he had made the night before. He went to the woods to try them out. He came back to his house and decided the next thing he was going to do would be to kill the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, because he was the most impactful person to assassinate in Canada. So he made a list of supplies that he would need to do this and to survive in the woods. Then he made a playlist for his drive, and then he loaded his car. He took rosary beads and hung them on the piano over his mom's head, said some Hail Marys, and then left a note for whoever found her. Then he lit candles on the coffee and dining room tables, and then he left. Yeah. Lit candles. So he starts driving towards the Prime Minister, which is all the way across Canada because that's the other side. And also it was weird that you could just Google where his cabin was. But so he decided that was too far, and he turned around, goes back towards Vancouver. And at this point, he's thinking of going to his school and doing a shooting there, or going to a bridge and shooting from that, or just to die by suicide. He eventually just decides to turn himself in. He goes to Vancouver PD, goes up to an officer in a marked car, tells him, "I killed my mother." They search his car and found a plastic cooler containing 12 Molotov cocktails. a 1 camo style rifle case carrying that .308 with no trigger lock, an orange rifle case with a 12-gauge shotgun loaded, and a .22 caliber rifle that was also loaded and associated ammunition. Unfortunately, while he was doing this, starting to drive and go back and forth, his sister had gotten worried that her mom hadn't been answering any of her texts or calls, so she goes to the house with her fiance, and they find that scene that Ryan had left. Like, bad enough you're finding your mom, but finding like those candles and like the
display
macabre thing. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And she says, like, in her victim impact statement, words cannot express how gut-wrenching and horrific this has been to go through. And her PTSD would be so bad that she quit her job as a commercial real estate lawyer. Lisa and the other victims expressed in their statements that they had to also deal with this new fear of Ryan because they didn't know how dangerous he could be because he masked all of it so well, right? On March 9th, 2020, he pled guilty to 1 count of second-degree murder, although he had been charged with and could have been convicted of first degree. So first degree in Canada is a homicide that is both planned and deliberate. It carries an automatic life sentence with no possibility of parole for 25 years. Second degree is generally a deliberate killing that occurs without planning and does not fall under any of the categories of first degree murder. So spontaneous acts of passion, those type of things, right? The minimum sentence for that is life in prison with no parole for 10 years, but sentences can be as long as life in prison without parole for 25 years. I also think Canada has something, they have a thing there, like, where you're just too dangerous to ever be let out. I think that's something, I could be making that up, but I feel like there's something to that. They also have a manslaughter. That's the other thing that you could have gotten, which is a homicide committed without intent. But again, based on the circumstances of this, it's clear that he could have gone for first. Yeah. But in order to avoid the trial, they went ahead and settled with the second degree. 2 psychiatrists assessed him before his sentence hearing because they have to have the hearing to figure out how long, when he's going to be eligible to try for parole. Right. Mm-hmm. So the defense retained 1 doctor who said that he was in a chaotic and fragile mental state at the time of offense and mentally disordered. The use of the cannabis and alcohol influenced his mental state, but he was not in psychosis, right? He was not in cannabis psychosis, although he had psychotic symptoms. His rationale for killing his mother was primarily altruistic to spare her suffering. He was impaired enough that the impairment informed his intent to kill his mother, but he did not meet the criteria for NCRMD, which is not criminally responsible due to mental disorder, basically Canada's version of the insanity defense. Right. The second lawyer that was retained by the Crown gave a thorough history of Ryan's mental state and basically agreed with the other psychiatrist that he wasn't psychotic or experiencing delusions or hallucinations. He did not have his capacity to understand the consequences of his actions or to interfere with the capacity to know that his actions were right or wrong. Right. So the court does take into account, while they're figuring all this stuff out, that while he's been incarcerated, Ryan has taken all the courses they've offered at him. He has been in counseling every 1 to 2 weeks, and I'm thinking you may want to step that therapy up a little. Right. And so I'm like, shit, like, I go to therapy, like, sometimes when I'm feeling bad, I go once a week, and I'm not thinking of killing up, anyways. So, but they thought this was a good sign that he could be rehabilitated, which is a big part of the Canadian law determining when someone could be applied for parole, right? Is when they think they would be rehabilitated. Right. Other things that they were considering, he had been caught with contraband once while he was incarcerated, but he acknowledged his responsibility and there weren't any other issues. However, in December 2020, he attempted to commit suicide. He was then put on antidepressants and things improved. Y'all.
That seems like a delay.
So the court then argued, based on the nature of the offense, all the circumstances, the Crown wanted him to have 17 to 18 years because the fact that he was able to function normally and hide all this stuff from his friends and family. Like his mom is like, hey, I want you to quit smoking weed. I think that'll make you like less depressed. But nobody knew, like, I don't think that was the extent of like he was thinking of harming others. Right. Mm-hmm. And also the Crown was like, he wanted to kill the prime minister. So maybe like we tack on some more stuff. Like even though he didn't do it, like that was something, you know. So they sentenced him to imprisonment for life, and he would be eligible for parole after 14 years. When a life sentence is imposed, no consideration is given to time served in pre-sentence custody. However, parole eligibility runs from the date of arrest, so he will become eligible on parole on April 1st, 2034.
That's weird.
I guess that makes sense. Like, no.
Because it should be from the day of sentencing. But whatever, Canadian law, Canadian law, who cares? Okay. The judge, though, when she did this, she strongly recommended that he get classified to an institution other than maximum security prison because of his size. Now, judges can make that recommendation, but ultimately that is up to the Correctional Service of Canada. And beyond the judge, Ryan's lawyer was also concerned about him going to a maximum security prison, which in Canada is required of anyone convicted of first or second degree murder for a minimum of 2 years. So they've got 3 levels. They have like a max, like a medium and then, right? And so was he a little guy? I mean,
at this time he was still 5 foot tall and 100 pounds.
Okay, wow.
And looks like he's 17. He looks like a teenager, right? And so before the hearing, he'd been staying at a pretrial center that had a larger number of staff to felons ratio, but they just really think that he was going to get like destroyed in maximum security prison. Right. So they decided to keep him at a prison hospital in British Columbia while they further determine how to serve the remainder of his sentence. So the last I could find was that he was in like a prison hospital, but the place he was at had the 3 levels there, and they were basically keeping him in like kind of like the psych side. In Canada, you can't find out where someone's in prison. Did you know that? I was like, huh. So that was something I learned. In America, it's really easy to find out like where someone's staying,
where they're incarcerated.
And what all their things are. But because of privacy laws in Canada, you can't find that. Huh. So that is where he's at now. I don't think his family is ever going to recover. I mean, his sister said, "How could I trust anybody when my only sibling chose to execute my mom when her back was turned?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, and their mom sounded so awesome. In her obituary, Barbara Waite was called an adventurous spirit who especially enjoyed outdoor pursuits, including cross-country skiing, biking, and hiking, happiest in nature. Although small in physical stature, she was strong and brave, fighting through challenges with a relentless positive outlook. If anybody puts small in physical stature on my obituary, I'm coming back and haunting your asses. No. I'm 5 foot tall. Don't put that in there. Right. So, and also I think the tragedy of this is just amplified because Ryan sought help. And when there was an obstacle put in front of it, he just stopped fighting. Yeah. And that makes me so sad. And, like Padalecki has his Never Stop Fighting mental health campaign that, he does a lot of charity work for. And I think that's important. Keep reaching for that help. You're not a burden. You're not take the fucking help. Don't, it's just, So just take the fucking help. Yep. And that is the tragic story. And, that's what happened to Ryan. And fucking bummer.
Super bummer.
Yeah. So on that note, I don't think, I think maybe in the next episode, we can talk a little bit of how we felt about this one. Cause I'm just, I think we're all kind of bummed out. And
I think, I think we, that's a lot to process and we've already kind of made our cracks about that.
This was already, the darkness was already, we got my darkness humor in there. So
on that,
various, take care of yourselves,
yes.
Self-care, get the help that you need when people are there for you. All right. Cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Be a Dick production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios podcast network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.